As we had indicated, this meeting is not being live streamed today, but it is being recorded and will be posted on the city's website. We do have ASL interpretation available. I believe Dan and Chad are our interpreters today. I apologize to the group in advance. I am not with you in person. My apologies for that. I have a nasty virus and my ears are a little plugged, so I'm going to try to regulate the volume of my voice today. But if for some reason I am talking too loud or too softly, if someone can flag me, that would be fantastic. I am now convening the December 2nd, 2025 Housing Opportunity Fund Board meeting. We do have a quorum present. We've been having some slight technical difficulties, but I'm sure that our PowerPoint agenda will be up any moment now.
I believe all the technical fixed, just let me know.
We're going to go ahead and start the meeting with the roll call. If that could be presented, that would be fantastic. If not, I will do my best without it.
Brandon, the PowerPoint, I can see it on the screen, but it's not shared on the Zoom.
You see it now?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brandon. We know it's an incredibly snowy day, the first one really of the season, and everyone is managing some hectic schedules and difficulties today. So thank you everyone for being here. About to do the roll call. Please signify your presence by saying aye. James Ish.
Aye.
Terrell Thomas. Tanika Harris. I believe I saw Tanika. We may have oh, okay, I see her waving. She's having some technical difficulties. Tanika Harris is here. Karen Garrett.
Hey.
Thank you, Karen. Ellie Fisher.
Present.
Councilwoman Deb Gross. Deidre Washington. Rochelle Preston. Rebecca Yago.
Here.
Alan Cisco.
I'm present. Hi.
Leah Matthews.
I'm here.
Adrian Wanaha, President. Robert Helwig.
Here.
We can see you in the room. Thank you, Robert. That concludes the roll call. We're going to move on to the review and acceptance of the minutes from the November 4th meeting. Hopefully everyone's had a moment to review those minutes. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
Yes, Tanika here. I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you, Tanika. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, I didn't see who that was.
It was James.
Thank you, James. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any abstentions? Oh, any abstentions on the vote? Any nays? Wonderful. The minutes have been approved as submitted. We're going to take our opportunity now for public comment. I know we have one public comment that was registered for today. I saw Megan Hammond, who was registered.
Thanks, Adrian. Sorry, it's just the technical difficulties are taking me down. Good afternoon, Advisory Board. My name is Megan Hammond. I'm the Executive Director of the Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh. Today, I'd like to make two comments. One is simply a reminder, as you all know, is for the advisory board to remain up to date and engaged on the budget discussions at City Council regarding the need for the Housing Opportunity Fund as a dedicated funding source for affordable housing. In fact, if anything, the HOF needs more than $10 million annually due to inflation and rising costs, blunting how far the $10 million stretches. Secondly, I would like you to know that on November 25th of last week, HUD released guidance to public housing authorities and to private operators of HUD subsidy that effectively seeks to roll back the use of criminal history and tenant screening to 1996's one strike policy. An incredible body of work has occurred over the past nearly 30 years since the implementation of one strike policies, detailing the discriminatory impacts of unreasonably long look-back periods, the use of arrest records alone, and the use of overly broad categories of criminal history while not increasing safety. Locally, in 2012, a tenant of the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh was convicted of a felony drug offenses that didn't occur within her public housing property. HACP identified her convictions only in 2014 when reviewing her application for a housing choice voucher. As a result, not only was her HCV application denied, but she received an eviction filing against her tenancy in Arlington Heights. However, in court, she substantiated that she had acknowledged her crime, pled guilty, successfully served her 18-month probation, all of which had concluded before the eviction filing against her. In fact, the judge stated that it would be a serious injustice to evict her when significant time has elapsed and she is on the right track. And additionally, despite the guidance, providers of HUD subsidy continue by law to have a wide-ranging discretion for how they use criminal history policies in housing decision-making. So I tell this story today simply as a reminder that here in Pittsburgh, we have learned and we now understand that using criminal history in housing decision-making requires individualized assessment. My ask today to the advisory board is that you continue to engage either as providers of HUD subsidy or with partners who do so, that Pittsburgh continues prioritizing both safety and fairness in how we use criminal history within affordable housing, particularly regarding recipients of HOF funds such as the rental gap program. I thank you all for your hard work, and despite everything, I am hopeful for what we can get done in 2026. Thank you all.
Thank you, Megan. Very salient comments, and certainly something that we need to have in our line of sight as we are decision making related to the HOF funds. Also, thank you for bringing up the critical nature of the housing opportunity funds and what we can do with them each year with this flexible funding source. As we know, the 2026 allocation plan has been presented, and it is important for us to continue to advocate for the acceptance of that 2026 plan, the continuing support for the Housing Opportunity Fund, not just now, through the 12 years that were established in the original legislation and beyond. As we face more challenges locally, statewide, and nationally, it's incredibly important that our voices are heard. Anyone who would like to make comments related to the HOF allocation plan are certainly invited to join City Council tomorrow at 10 o'clock for such remarks. We know how important this fund is. I know how hard all of you work, and your expertise is critical. So we hope that we can continue to spread that messaging. I guess that was my public comment. I apologize. I should have registered for public comment. If there are individuals who have come to the URA space today in hopes of giving public comment, could our folks in the room identify those individuals now?
There is no such individual.
Okay. Well, I was hopeful. It is a very snowy day, but I was hopeful maybe we had some others that were joining us today. Barring no individuals there at the public space, we're going to close public comment at this time, and we're going to move forward to a discussion on Mayflower Meadows, which is a rental gap program application that is currently in front of the advisory.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Can everyone online hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Brooke Gwynn. I'm a housing lending analyst at the URA. Mayflower Meadows is the new construction of 8 affordable housing units in the Larimer neighborhood. WNT Daniels Development Group is requesting a $555,000 rental gap program loan to fund the creation of 8 new units. The project includes the construction of 2 structures, each one containing 4 three-bedroom apartments, for a total of 8 three-bedrooms. 3 of the units will be rented to households at or below 30% of area median income, or AMI, and 5 will be affordable at or below 50% of AMI. All units will be available to Housing Choice Voucher holders. The property is currently vacant land and the borrower has a sales agreement in place. The location is very close to a wide range of local and national stores and several bus lines, including the East Liberty Busway Station, offering a wide variety of nearby amenities for future tenants. Though none of the units will be wheelchair accessible, the development team discussed opportunities to expand accessible features throughout all of the units with insight from Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh. 3 of the units include features tailored for individuals who use walkers and those who have visual or audio impairments to better serve the diverse needs of tenants. Mayflower Meadows is the 3rd multi-unit affordable housing development by WNT Daniels Development Group, which is owned by Tina Daniels, who is also the sole proprietor of Concrete Rose Construction, the GC. $10,000 per unit, or $80,000 of the RGP loan will fund a supportive services escrow account. Supportive services will be provided by Catapult of Greater Pittsburgh, WAVE, and the Trade Institute of Pittsburgh. The RGP loan will be sourced entirely from POF. The development team has also applied for a $240,000 loan from the East End Housing Development Program, which will be presented to the East Liberty TRID Revitalization Authority later this month. Other financing includes a $1.2 million grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program, an $800,000 loan from First National Bank, $300,000 from Neighborhood Allies, a deferred developer fee of just over $45,000, and $16,000 in developer equity. The total development cost is $3,156,570. Construction is expected to be completed by March 2027, and I'd like to now introduce the developer, Tina Daniels, who is joining us virtually to speak more on this exciting addition to the neighborhood.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to take the time to introduce myself. First, say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present to the board today and just introduce myself. I think Brooke pretty much did that. Mayflower Meadows is down in the Larimer area of Pittsburgh, PA. And I'm very nervous. I'm sorry. And I just wasn't quite sure what all you guys wanted me to cover in this, or if I should wait for you to ask me questions.
Tell us what you're most excited about related to the project.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm very excited. One, just providing affordable housing in the city. I was born and raised here in Pittsburgh, PA. I'm a new developer. I've been doing construction for over 20 years, but new in the development area. So being able to provide, beautiful, affordable structures in the city that I was born and raised in definitely is just, it makes me very happy. I love what I do. I love that I get to do it here in the city that I was born and raised in, and that I can help provide a much needed niche in this affordable housing need that we have here in the city.
And if I could jump in, Tamika here, it's clear that I will be abstaining from the vote, but Tina, it would be helpful if you shared with the board the projects that you have already completed, just
okay.
A few of the projects.
Okay, so I've done probably 8 single family full rehabs that I have as affordable housing. I also have a new development we finished last year, the year before last, Benedict Dwellings, located in the north end of Homewood and no, in the west end of Homewood. And we are currently working on Anderson Estates now, which is an 8-unit new construction, 4 2-bedrooms and 4 4-bedroom. And we also, those all will be affordable. And we should be wrapping up construction on that by March of next year. And Mayflower Meadows will be my 3rd new construction development.
Thank you. I just wanted to show
Yes,
the breadth and the depth of your work.
yeah.
And I think it speaks to your why. So thank you.
Yes.
I would also like to make a quick comment before we open it up for discussion. Thank you, Tina and the team, for taking a different and varied eye toward accessibility. That's always important to us, and we really appreciate those views being incorporated into design and going beyond just the traditional ADA components of accessibility. So I really appreciate seeing that in this particular project and the collaboration with the Fair Housing Partnership. So thank you so much for that. Advisory team, oh, such a pleasure. Advisory team members, do we have questions, comments, clarifications that we would like to ask? And I apologize if I can't see you coming off of mute, but you can jump right in.
If I can
Hi,
jump
Ellie.
right in. Hi, Tina. This is exciting that you're doing this. My questions are you managing the other properties that you have and are done? Or are you going to have somebody else do the property management? And do you already go ahead?
Go ahead. I own a property management company and I only manage my own properties.
Okay.
So it's Crown Property Management, and we will manage all the properties I build because I believe that no one cares for the property like the owner does.
It's so true. It's so true. And do you already have vouchers assigned, or are you just going to accept them?
So I am going to accept, I think they're called housing choice vouchers when you're accepting the vouchers. We're not a project-based voucher building, so we will be accepting housing choice vouchers.
Okay. Great. And then the only other thing, like you've got, it's a darn shame, but congratulations to you at the same time about the housing stack, right? Like we all know you need a big housing stack, and that's what's the shame about it, but good job getting it, right? I do notice that you're gonna have a permanent loan on here, but that's like, oh, actually it is pretty big percentage of it. No, okay, so you do have a permanent loan, and it's part of the deal, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, seems great. I don't have any other questions. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions or comments at this time?
Yeah, a couple questions. James Ash here. Hi, Tina. Thanks for the presentation. This is an exciting project, and really, really happy that it's in front of us here today. A couple quick questions, and this may have been said earlier, but my audio is cutting out a little bit. First of all, is Concrete Rose your construction company, or is that someone that you've worked with in the past?
No, Concrete Rose is my construction company.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Excellent. And then has there been outreach to community groups? Just curious, kind of, community support, or if you've contacted the councilman's office, anything like that that I might not have seen in the development packet.
I think we have a letter of support in the packet, if not, but we have it from Councilman Kahari Mosley.
Great.
And I've also met with Donna Jackson from the Larmer Consensus Group. We plan on presenting to her group community meeting in January, but she is in support of the project.
Excellent. Well, those are great people to have in support of it. So it sounds like you met with the right folks. And then final question on the TRID loan that you're presenting for. next month or whatever. Have you had preliminary conversations with that group or the group who facilitates that? I'm just curious what the initial feedback has been.
So I have not. I'm going to attend the meeting, and I know Brooke has been a big part of keeping me involved in the dates and the times of it. So outside of that, I haven't.
Yes, thank you, Tina. That fund is also administered by the URA. So we did receive an application for that fund. And those committees and that El Chedra board date is later this month.
Great. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, I am not seeing anyone coming off of mute or hands raised. With that in mind, I'm thinking that I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding and there's a positive response to this particular application. So at this time, I would call for a motion to move forward with the rental gap funding for Mayflower Meadows. Do I have someone that would make such a motion? Oh, and let's just put a pin in that for one quick second. Since Tanika did start us off with the abstention piece, we have Tanika Harris who has put in her official abstention. Do you have other members abstaining at this time? I know we haven't voted yet, but I just want to have a sense of who's putting a motion forward or who can put a motion forward. Okay, so just Tanika. Thank you. Do we have a motion related to Mayflower Meadows? I see Ellie, but I don't hear Ellie.
Thank you. I was on mute. This is Ellie Fisher. I'll make a motion to grant $555,000 from the rental gap program to the Mayflower Meadows project.
And Ellie, my assumption is that you're also adding in that is for the new construction of 129, 131, 133, and 135 Mayflower Street in the Larimer neighborhood, 12th Ward.
Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I was on the wrong window for seeing it. I'm just looking at Tina's smiling face here. Okay.
Start over. Start from the top. Go ahead, Ellie.
All right. Let's just do it all over.
Do it over. Do over.
Like to move to authorize to enter into a rental gap program loan agreement with Mayflower Meadows LLC or a related entity in the amount of up to $555,000 for the new construction of 129, 131, 133, and 135 Mayflower Street in the Larimer neighborhood, 12th Ward.
Thank you, Ellie. Do we have a second to that motion?
This is Alan. I'll second.
So we have a second from Alan. All those abstaining, let's do our abstentions first.
Tanika Harris abstaining as it relates to the partnership with Catapult Greater Pittsburgh.
Thank you, Tanika. And I don't think we have any other abstentions. All those in favor of the motion as it has been presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Well, thank you. We have a carried motion there and an action to move forward with the Mayflower Meadows funding through RGP. Congratulations, Tina. And please
Thank
keep
you,
us
everybody.
apprised.
Yes,
We'd
of
love to
course
have
I
you
will.
back.
Yes, of course. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Is it bad
All
form
right.
if I leave now?
It is not. We will
Okay.
we will not take that in any kind of way. Thank you for joining. Talk a little bit to us about the state of the HA for programmatic expenditures and some changes we'll see coming up in 2026.
Sure. So, when it comes to the programmatic expenditures, I know we showed a new visualization last HOF meeting that was more detailed than what we have traditionally done. Sorry, excuse me. So you may be wondering why we are in fact back to the previous data visualizations, and it is because that visualization was more detailed and thus is a heavier lift. So doing that on a short month was just not feasible. So this is what we have here, which is expenditures to date, and then we also have monthly expenditures. With that said, we had a discussion with Adrienne about maybe highlighting possible barriers, impediments, or opportunities in the way that we present the HOF data. Of course, that dovetails on to this idea that more informative data also takes more time to compile and more effort to compile. So while we would like to give you the most detail that we can, we'd also like to give you the most detail that we can without compromising any of the other things we're doing because we're putting so much effort into it.
So in summary, everyone, so we're used to this circle. It is not a perfect circle, and we recognize that. So we can be looking forward to the more robust financial overview from the URA on a quarterly basis. At this time on the agenda where we talk about the state of the HOF and our programmatic expenditures, we're going to expand that conversation so that we can also talk about things like barriers, impediments, and opportunities, as Brandon mentioned. And then you'll see a third item on your agenda, also trying to look at how we could engage HOF organizations that are funded through HOF dollars, and think about what reporting could look like from those organizations. So starting to plan for seeing a little bit more data on the ground. A large part of our allocation discussion was really trying to dive deeply into the dollars that are out on the street, and also the impact that those dollars are having. So since the URA is collecting information from the funded entities, we would like to start to plan for impact and outcome reporting for 2026. So we would get more of that granular level data from the organizations. The URA would not necessarily have to mine that data for us. That would be data that we could get directly from grantees. Some grantees are already sharing elaborate amounts of data, even beyond what the URA has requested. So if we had access to that, it gives us a little bit better and more bird's eye view of what is happening in the HOF and programmatic expenditures. So thoughts from the advisory, do those changes seem like they will be helpful and give us more, just more robust information that we can be, planning around? Does that resonate with our members? I'm seeing some head shaking.
Yes.
Wonderful.
This is Ellie. Can we talk about the finances for a minute? Because I assume it takes some work to put together those donut graphs as well. And I guess I would say maybe we just look at finances on a quarterly basis, or as we need to have the information. I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, sorry. I lost my train of thought.
So instead of Ellie doing something every month, which might not be as robust, your suggestion is that we dive into those financials just more deeply on that quarterly basis. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. Yeah, because frankly, I think it probably takes the staff some amount of time to make those donuts, and they don't help me in doing analysis. So unless they help somebody else, you could skip them from my perspective. I don't know if other people find those donuts helpful, but a quarterly would be okay with me in terms of the detail part. The only time I could think of that where I would need it more often is if, one of our smaller grant funds and we're giving out a grant and we need to know, hey, we are now spending down this whole category, right?
And I think that would be in the barriers, impediments, and opportunities component of the discussion that we would like to add. So if there's any emergent issues that the advisory should know about, that would be a time that we could share those.
Yeah, I would echo what Ellie just said. I think that the information that was shared last board meeting was really helpful. And understanding that it takes a lot of time to put together. If we do it on a quarterly basis, that's what I was going to recommend as well, just because it's really helpful. And in terms of information on a regular basis, I mean, even if it's if it's easy to spit out the little circle graph, that's fine. But even if it's kind of an update on the projects that are drawing down funds in that month, just an update on which projects are moving forward, or even an update on where certain funds stand within the greater HOF funding would be more helpful to me. The one thing that I wanted to make a note of is, we've approved a couple projects in the last few meetings, and to be honest, I don't have a sense of kind of where things stand with what's left, and that would be really helpful because kind of approving projects on a one-off basis, I feel like I need the broader context on like how much is left and how are we judging one project against another? Is it just kind of first come, first serve? That would be most helpful to me.
So I just want to share, like, I agree with both. I think one of the issues with the pie graph is that it then, in order to give us what we're asking for and what we need to make informed decisions, we will need that on a consistent basis, because the way the HOF funding works is that we don't always draw from the current year. And so that's why it's not apples to apples and orange, so it's so convoluted. I hate to say it that way, because the way the drawdown may come from a previous year's allocation. And so it's there needs to be some kind of way, and I don't have an answer. Leah may have, I know she's the guru with it, she may have a better answer. But we need to know where we stand. Law of the scoreboard. James, I'm with you 1,000%. Like, I want to make an informed decision, but it's important to know where we stand, because we also we have to be good stewards of the money that we're responsible for, right? And so if we know what's available for that particular, it can't just be the line item, but it's the line item and the particular year as well. So all of that, and I don't know if there's an easy answer for right now, but in full agreement of knowing where we stand in order to make these informed decisions. But the how is where I lean to the URA experts.
Thank you, Tanika. And I do think that some of the project reporting would really help us have our finger on the pulse. It's difficult, especially in an RGP program where maybe the project isn't completed till quite some time after we've actually made the award. So it's important to know where those projects are and where they're going and what our final impacts are. Other members that would like to make suggestions or have thoughts on this particular piece of the conversation?
I just want to say I agree with the analysis, but I also, like today, for instance, we just said we're giving 355,000, and we're sitting here like, I don't know exactly what we have to give. I mean, are we giving out of last year's? Are we giving out of now? What's left after we give the 355? I mean, I think those are some of the questions that we're asking, but sometimes I feel like we're making these decisions without kind of knowing where we stand. And so I don't know what comes first. Do we have it in front of us before? Do we even invite people knowing that we don't have enough? Yeah, that's kind of where I sit at.
So Kiana, I'm going to direct this question to you. I know one of the things that we've talked about regularly is that the URA has their finger on the pulse of those questions. Is it possible when we're doing application reviews that there could be line items that are added that indicate which funding years we would be utilizing and how much is left in those funding years? We know that that might not perfectly align with to the dollar, but I know that that is something that you're looking at internally. Is there some high level information that we could glean in the applications related to that?
I think we put the funding year of the HOF funding in the packet that we send out to you. So you may not see it in the PowerPoint all of the time, and we can make sure that we include it in our presentation as well. But when we send out the packets that you get with the agenda and all the information for the meeting, the funding year that the funds we're requesting will be in that packet. So we'll do a better job of making sure that's clear to you all. And then just thinking about how can we report in a more meaningful way generally. I think, as Brandon stated, our data team feels like it could be too much of a heavy lift for a monthly report, but quarterly feels more reasonable. And so if we are providing those quarterly updates to that summary that we went over last month, showing where we're spending, how much is left in each year, do you think that's something that will be useful? And as well as we'll provide that information about the sources, but we'll also provide updated information about projects and completion and that information as well.
That's helpful. And it is, just so you it is it does say in the Mayflower packet under sources, it says the $555,000 will come from Housing Opportunity Fund 2024. So it is there. That portion is there.
And just generally, we would not we are checking kind of total sources, total allocation from any of the line items before we bring them before this advisory board. So we definitely wouldn't bring anything that we didn't have the funding for available. And sometimes what you'll see is we even combine HOF funds with other funds just to kind of make HOF go a little bit further. So yeah, we'll always make sure there's funds available in the program before we submit it to the advisory board for review as well.
I'm not seeing others signaling that they have additional comments. So do you think this is, again, a reflection of what we've been talking about for the last year, wanting to use data to inform our decision making? Thank you, everybody, for that input. It's incredibly important, and we want to make sure you have in front of you everything that you need to make these important decisions, especially as we know the HOF funds are a stalwart in some very difficult times. So the ways in which we understand the funds we have available and how they're distributed is going to be incredibly impactful going forward. And so thank you for that robust discussion. Seeing no other comments emerging, we can move to the next agenda item. Demonstration grants. So we would like to start the conversation today and finalize the conversation in January of rolling out these demonstration grants. So there was some work that was conducted last year. Thank you, Tanika, for facilitating discussions. We put together an overview of how we would utilize demonstration grants. Again, these are demonstration grants going backward, not necessarily demonstration grants that have been allocated in 2025 and 2026 yet. So really, looking at the funds that we have available and taking those funds through a process to allow organizations to bring forward innovative concepts. So in January, we would like everyone to come prepared. We're going to send out some advanced materials related to the discussion we've had previously, the tool we put together, and mechanisms. And we would like to, in January, finalize the timeline for the rollout and how we would like to review these applications. We ran into some stumbling blocks in the last demonstration project grants that we put out. We had some thoughts about how we could do those reviews in a very timely manner and found out from URA Legal that some of the offline meetings we were hoping to have to expedite decisions were not actually following to the letter the sunshine laws. So that's just one example of some lessons that we learned in the last demonstration project set of applications that we received and reviewed. So we would love to spend some time in January really digging into finalizing that process and getting that timeline in place. I'm looking forward to hearing not only the thoughts in that meeting, but preliminary thoughts that folks have about how we should approach this in January. Tanika, I think you came off mute.
Yes, would this be more like an in-person and or hybrid retreat of sorts for us to be able to come together to have that discussion?
So this would actually be the HOF on the HOF meeting agenda. If the advisory feels that we do need some planning time prior to that, we certainly could do that. We actually did that in the last process. We had a person that came forward, which happened to be you, and convened us to have some preliminary conversations. We could also schedule for time before our regular HOF meeting. We've discussed the possibility of having a short executive session, which is really an educational piece for our advisory team members. We could do that an hour prior to the upcoming HOF meeting in January. So thoughts from the group on how you feel we could have the most robust conversations to be prepared for a January public discussion.
Yeah, I'm always going to lean towards us being able to come together to have a more impactful meeting to really work through this and not feel rushed during the public meeting process. So that way we are being good stewards of people's time as well. Once we have our regularly scheduled January meeting. But I recognize everyone's schedules are crazy, but I think that would be helpful. Making it happen is very different, but I think that would be helpful.
Well, intellectually, how are members feeling about us doing a prior convening? To revisit those documents, revisit what we had laid out, think about the process, think about the timeline. I know this is not a quiet group. This is a gray and cold day. And maybe we're really feeling the pressure of the holiday.
I mean, I'm
supportive
certainly
of
open to
additional
it.
time.
I'd like to have a chance to review everything once it gets circulated before that conversation. But I think that's I'd agree with Tanika that I think that would be a productive way to go into the next HOF meeting. I don't know if they got you.
I just wanted to generally add, I'm so sorry.
No,
I think
please.
it would be a really good idea to have an executive session before our meetings, even if we wanted to try to start that as a one-off, so just like go through this information before, just before the meetings, like our packets and things of that nature. I think we could have more robust conversation.
Thank you, Leah. I think that is a sentiment that's echoed by many members, that we could definitely spend more time together really working through this information. So thank you for raising that. And if folks are concerned that, we've been meeting the first week of every month, we had already spoken to the URA about the first week of January probably not being an ideal time for our first meeting. If we, as the HOF advisory, would like to think about meetings later in the month, we would have a little bit more time, or if we felt that the January meeting was just too early and we needed to have a planning session before the conversation on the demonstration grants, we could have that regular HOF time in February. I just want to make sure sure that we are focused on the first quarter of 2026. We had announced that these innovation grants would be made available when we talked about the emergent need grants. So folks have been excited and interested. And I know that all of us want to make sure that funds are on the street to really support this work. And I know we don't want to delay unnecessarily, but if we think either, we would like to adjust our HOF meetings to be a later in the month meeting, or we would like to take, this agenda item and place that on the February agenda, we certainly can do that. So what are our thoughts?
I just want to chime in quickly and say we do have the 2026 meeting dates and times as the last item on this agenda, discussion of
Yes.
that. So yeah.
I'm rolling agenda items at the moment.
I think that definitely, I've already shared how I feel about the one aspect, but one of the things we have to remember is in order for our work is not delayed, we have to make sure that our meetings are before the URA board meetings. So not to push it too far down in the month, to ensure that once we provide our recommendations, that those things that need to go to the URA board, so they don't have to wait another month to be able to get final approval. So that's just the other thing to think about. Definitely believe that we should not meet the first week in January, but I haven't even looked at the calendar. Right, let me look. See what because the URA, Brandon, is the URA board meeting, is there one in January?
There is, but there's talk of that one being moved, and I do know that our offices are closed. That I have the exact dates on the slide. It's like the 20 or December 30th to January 3rd or something like that. So that just cuts off our normal procedure of all the stuff we do the week before to get prepared for these. Yeah.
Exactly. So theoretically, January 5th, that's a Monday, is when folks will be back.
We meet on Tuesday.
You meet on the 6th?
The 6th, yeah.
You meet on the 6th? Yeah. Yeah. So definitely, Adrian, I would hope to push it back. But just I don't know when the URA board meets anymore. So that's and like Brandon said, there may not be a meeting. So if there's not a URA board meeting in January, that could be beneficial for us. We can change our January time.
We can, and we could establish for the January meeting that we would like to have this advanced session. And then come to our work. And even if we felt that we wanted to do that and we wanted to have that advanced session be focused on the demonstration dollars, we still could postpone the public discussion of the demonstration dollars until the February meeting.
Yeah.
So if that felt like something that would resonate with folks, again, I just want to make sure that we're focused in the first quarter and getting to this work so that we can get those dollars out and deployed, and we can see that great impact for our community members.
Do we know when the URA board meeting is in January, since they're pushing it?
If it were at the normal time, it would be I just looked this up, the 15th, I think.
The 15th.
But we don't know if it will be at the normal time.
It's subject to board approval. Yeah. Changing it is subject to board approval in December.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion on the
absolutely
demonstration? Hi, Kiana Wasser, Chief Housing Officer. How about we come to before the advisory board in January to do a quick overview of the demonstration, the emergency demonstration process that we went through. You can recommend and suggest changes and different things you'd like to see for innovation. We can come back in February with those changes, and and a potential timeline. And if you approve all of that, we'll have kind of set a process to open a round for applications and then hopefully close it and still be able to come back to you within Q3, potentially April, if things roll, if we need more time. Does that seem reasonable? Or do you want to be able to approve projects in Q1 and get them started early in the year?
Do we have a sense of how many are
There's
in the queue?
$300,000 available. And
we wanted to revisit, Kiana, the repayment funds.
Okay. So yeah, I think we can come. So I think hearing that as well, maybe we use an executive session and the HOF advisory board next month to plan. And then open and roll everything out, get it all buttoned up and roll it out by March.
That makes sense to me. Karen, was that your question though? Because I know you got cut off.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
It
okay.
was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable timeline to me.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Okay, so that's our strategy. Because I see a whole bunch of nods, even if you haven't come off of your mute. I am seeing nods. If I'm seeing everyone clearly, then let's hold that strategy for a minute and go back to the agenda as it was organized, as opposed to my tributary. And then we can revisit this concept of when is that actual meeting going to be and what does that pre-meeting executive session look like? So if we could go back to item G. And thank you to everyone for the conversation. It is so exciting to be moving on these items. I'm just thrilled, and this is such a great way to be ending the year. So thank you to everybody for the robust and meaningful conversation. Something that is important for us in our structure is our chair. We actually, in our structure, should have a chair and a vice chair. And that has been something that went missing over the last few elections, was this vice chair role. Kiana was kind enough to share with us some elements from our bylaws. Kiana and Brandon, would you like to give an overview of our structure throughout the bylaws and the chair and vice chair positions and protocol?
Sure. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm pulling it up. We did share this information in your emails, but what we did when we were preparing for the meeting is realized in 2025 we did not do elections, and the bylaws do call for a chair and a vice chair, as was mentioned. And so we just wanted to kind of get this information in front of you in order to prepare for 2026. So it's only those two positions, the chair and the vice chair. They must be confirmed by a majority vote of the board. Any board members other than the current chair may self-nominate or nominate someone else for the chair and vice chair positions. Public employees, which are individuals employed by the city, county, state, I'm guessing the URA as well, we'll have to confirm that, may not hold the role of chair or vice chair.
And
yeah.
URA staff may not represent themselves as representative of the URA. They can only represent themselves as a person. But given that they're an employee of the city, there's a little bit of conflict there.
Right. And so the role of the chair and the vice chair, first off, the chair is the chair works directly with URA staff to make sure we are prepared for the meetings monthly. And we support each other in that work. They also the chair communicates with the advisory board relevant information at times, confirms the interpreter, helps set the agenda for the meetings, calls the votes during the meetings. and kind of runs the agenda in the public meetings. They also help us facilitate conversations with the public around the advisory board. And so the vice chair mostly is someone who can kind of step into that role when the chair is not available to perform that role. Yeah, and so what other things in the bylaws are that individuals must serve on the board for a minimum of 1 year before being eligible for the role of chair or vice chair. The term of the officer positions is 1 year with the option to extend for one additional term pending uniformity with the expiration of the person's term on the HOF advisory board. And so all of those things can be considered when we think about who can be elected for the chair and vice chair roles for 2026. Did I hit all the important items, Adrian?
You absolutely did. So the bylaws might not always be really fresh in our minds, but the bylaws do govern the way in which we do our work. And we wanted to make sure that not only we had them in front of everyone, but we also did some discussion about those expectations so that as we come into 2026, we would love to hold an election for 2026. Ideally, we would like to do that in January, if possible. If it's not possible, then it isn't possible. We know that everything is busy and challenged, but our intent of discussing this very early in December is so that individuals who have an interest in nominating themselves or another person can do that in this public session or can alert the URA through Kiana and Brandon that they would like to make a recommendation for the vice chair and chair of the HOF, and that we could have those conversations with folks prior to the January meeting. And we could engage and have a slate of officers presented at the January meeting and a vote in January. Again, if we feel like that is too quick of a timeline, we can certainly adjust that slightly, but it is important to have that transparency and the opportunity for leadership on the board. So I would love to hear folks' thoughts about this as we have it presented. It's interesting because I'm seeing people looking away from their camera, which is always funny when we talk about elections. I see people looking away or looking down. You are not required to put yourself or someone else forward for the chair or vice chair position, but this is going to be important, that you are comfortable with who's facilitating the meetings forward and your expectation of what information that we have, what the dialogues look like, how folks are engaged. So these are important roles. And you may not have thought about this for yourself or for another person at this time. I mean, we're not going to go around the room and make everybody bring someone forward. However, this is the perfect time if you have had interest in playing one of these roles on the board to put yourself forward.
Adrian, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Clearly, as it shows that Ellie and our term ended in April. And so just wondering how that would impact. So if I wanted to nominate Ellie, how would that work? Oh, I'm using
absolutely,
but so just what does that look like?
Just giving an example.
Yeah. Ellie's shaking her head. Absolutely not.
Kiana, so what we've heard in the past is that your appointment stands until the mayor's office has made an alternate appointment. Since we have a situation right now where the mayor's office is in transition, our assumption is that our formal identification of renewals and new members is not going to be in place in either January or February, but we do not want to leave the HOF without that leadership during that time frame. Kiana, does that accurately represent our historical experience?
Yes. And Ellie and Tanika, you stepped into your roles where you looks like your term ended in April, you actually stepped into an existing term. And so when you came onto the advisory board, your 3-year term did not start there. You kind of stepped into an existing term period that's what ended in 2025. And so just want to apologize to you for not getting those recertified before now. But that's kind of how the terms are. Unfortunately, you're sometimes, if we're not refreshing you right at the end of your term, then you're kind of entering into an existing term period. But yes, you are correct, Adrian.
And we have been active. Kiana has continued to be active with the mayor's office. I had the opportunity to meet with the mayor's office a few times. They do recognize that this is an issue, and want to make sure that the process is streamlined and clear. Some folks' appointments were less than clear in the past. So we do apologize. There is a recognition in the mayor's office that this process needs to be enhanced a bit. But at this moment, we are operating under our membership is our membership. And our hope is that all of that membership pulls forward. And until there is a determination by the new mayor's office that any of these terms would be terminated, you are an active member of the HOF advisory. Other questions, comments, or thoughts?
Just have a comment, and I just want to say that Adrian, you have done such a fantastic job of leading us. It has just been a joy to be back working with you and learning from how you run meetings and organizations with such grace and humility and style. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ellie. That's really humbling. It has been a pleasure.
Can I ask a question? Would it be helpful to the advisory board if you are a staff, if Brandon and I go back and kind of look at all of the members, the current members, and kind of determine who is eligible based on the bylaws and bring that information back to the group next month to kind of help you understand who can be nominated for the chair and the vice chair position? We're happy to do that if we think that will be helpful to the group.
I think it would be helpful just to know.
That would be helpful. I feel like several of us are disqualified pursuant to the bylaws.
And also, I don't want to, end the year on a less than positive note, but members who have not been active on the board, even though they are members, the bylaws do suggest that active membership is appropriate. So we do have some members that have not been active members. And Kiana and I have been trying to get those non-active members to recommit to participation in the HOF. And unfortunately, we have not been successful there. So I think that we all understand who has not been participating on the board. Some members have never seen some of these individuals. And so, not that we don't want them to continue as board members, but nominating those individuals for the chair or vice chair would not be appropriate at this time. So just in the spirit of transparency, we know that there's lots of barriers to participation, and we're really hoping to do things that eliminate those barriers. But the 1 year of active participation on the board is intentional. So folks have been through a full cycle with the HOF and have a base to draw from with the organization's operations. So we hope that members that have not been active, we can really find ways to make their active participation possible for them and remove any barriers. But at this time, that is something that, we do want to consider as we're moving forward with nominations.
Adrian, I appreciate you. And I echo what Ellie said about your leadership. So I appreciate your heart. And at the same time, I do want to just say that where I work for Catapult, we believe in removing barriers for people to be able to have access. But we should not use that, and that should not be used in the negative form. If individuals have not been participatory for various reasons, and some of them hold elected official seats. And so there's accountability that is necessary that needs to occur. So I appreciate your heart, but I wanted to say for the record, you shouldn't have to say that. That should not be something that you have to say as the chair of the HOF Advisory Board as a volunteer. But I do appreciate you saying that. But there's a level of accountability that is necessary, and we should not enable individuals. And everyone is an adult. And if they feel like this is not something that they are able to commit to, that is okay. And there's an honest conversation that needs to be had. So again, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate your leadership. I would not be Tanika if I did not share what's on my heart and my mind. Because
thank you for that.
At some point, enough is enough. And our communities deserve better. Our communities deserve proper representation. They deserve to have their voice at the table. We have a large weight on our shoulders. And I know many of those who are on this call today agree with that, or else we would not be here. And so thank you again, but just wanted to be very clear. And I'm more than welcome. I'm more than open to having a conversation with any of the individuals who have not been as present as possible. I'm more than welcome to have coffee, and we can have a larger conversation to think about any barriers to entry that HOF may have occurred, that things that HOF may have enabled for them to not be as present as they may desire to be.
Thank you, Tanika, and I hope that Kiana can continue to help us forge those paths with the mayor's office so that not only current members, but also future members, as we look, we have quite a few vacancies. And I know that we want to make sure that this group of fierce advocates can continue to be enhanced by those vacancies being filled. So I'm sure Kiana will continue to help us be part of that conversation as well. And thank you for the offer. I think that that's powerful when, peers can reach out to one another and have these hard conversations. And you also raised a point that I want to bring to everybody who's here. Membership is not mandatory. You have been appointed, and we recognize how important that is and the weight that might be on your shoulders related to that. But at any time, if any members are feeling a struggle related to their participation, we hope that you feel that you can come forward to Kiana, myself, and the mayor's office and really share that and be vocal advocates for alternative members. We've gotten some traction by folks to the mayor's office before these seats were vacant or during their vacancy. So I think there's still time for that advocacy as we come into a new administration. So thank you all for all of your hard work. And this isn't easy. We know it's not easy. Your diligence has been such an inspiration to me over the last year. So thank you for all of your comments. I think Kiana has put a good plan on the table of providing us with some additional information about who's eligible for these roles. If folks are comfortable with having more of that information available to us in January and finalizing decisions by February, I think that is certainly reasonable. Thoughts or concerns about that strategy? Okay, I'm seeing head shaking. I think the head shaking affirms that that makes sense. So Kiana, if that is, if you can put those items together for us, that would be incredibly helpful.
We are happy to do that for you.
Thank you so much. If we don't have any more discussion on that agenda item, we're going to move on to 2026 meeting dates and times. This is the most heinous of heinous conversations that we tend to have. This is so difficult, but to make sure that everyone understands that the URA offices are closed. They are closed, really closed, from December 28th to December 28th of 2025 to January 3rd. So our January 6th meeting will not only be a heavy load to lift for the URA staff, but also for everyone who's returning to work after, more traditional holidays. So we do want to adjust the January meeting just to accommodate those needs, but then also revisit the first Tuesday of every month at 3 p.m. We have heard from some members that this particular time, this 3 to 5 time, is great. And then from another group of members, this is terrible. So what I've heard in this meeting is, number one, January meeting has to be adjusted regardless. Number two, that we would like to have these executive sessions. In our last conversations, folks felt that that would be helpful right before our public meetings, but that is still open for discussion. So that's sort of prong 2 of scheduling our meetings. And prong 3 is if Tuesday is at 3 to 5 is not the best for our existing members. And we know we will get new members. And we will accommodate as we can as that new membership occurs. But we want to focus now on this group of members being able to engage in the best way that they can. So we're really thinking about who's here at the table now. So that number 3 is Tuesday at 3 p.m. and that's the first Tuesday. Is that still where the board feels comfortable, or do we need to make adjustments? So please, let's open up the dialogue.
For me, this is Karen. 2 o'clock always worked better for me. The 2 to 4, the 3 to 5 always. I have a hard stop generally, and when I first, started these meetings, they were always at 2 to 4. So I just kind of have some standing things that happen at 4:30, 5 o'clock. So
I think that's true for a lot of folks, Karen. Hence our, hearing that maybe this time is not the best for folks. I saw Tanika shaking her head vehemently that this was not a good time for her. Was I reading that correctly, Tanika?
You were reading it absolutely correctly. However, I would prefer a morning, and I know that this is where we always split, but I will make it work. But if you're asking my preference, I definitely prefer morning over afternoon.
And I certainly
originally our meetings
with that
were
as
morning.
well.
Oh, okay.
What was that, Karen?
Karen agrees.
I agree. I mean, I didn't know if that was on the table.
Can I
Of
just
course
clarify?
it's on the table.
But
that was
I
actually
certainly would agree that a 9-10 o'clock meeting is certainly much better for me than a late in the day meeting.
Can I just
day of the
clarify
week.
that
I mean-
that Tuesday is still what we're looking at, first Tuesday of every month?
Yeah.
I don't think we got to the day yet. I think we were talking about
We're starting with time.
blocks
No, that's
first.
fine. That's fine.
So personally, this is Rob.
Mhm.
Personally, I also prefer the morning. Just to have a little more time on the back end of my day. Also, I think the scheduling of this meeting should consider in whatever council meetings are occurring over at the city county building and so forth. Just so members of the public could participate in both foreseeably. I guess we could ask city council to move their meetings for us.
I'll also say that the morning would work pretty good for me. The day is fine. But moving it up would be great.
And maybe it makes sense to do a poll. I don't know if people still use Doodle or there's other scheduling apps, but because that changes for me. So Tuesdays are generally really good, but I have standing morning meetings on Monday and Tuesday. And I've got some others that are sprinkled throughout the week. So, it would trying to schedule on a call is always difficult. So maybe we could circulate something where we could all kind of contribute our availability to, because mine is just kind of all over the place.
Absolutely. And what we've tried to do in the past, James, is we've tried to get a sense from members which blocks of time and which days are typically better. So then we're not sending out tell us Monday through Friday what works for you. We try to send out,
Too broad.
5 to 6 different options and then let folks weigh in on those just to sort of try to narrow it down a bit. But yes, we will
Gotcha.
absolutely
Yeah,
put something out.
that makes a lot of sense. And in general for me, Tuesday afternoons and then Wednesdays are pretty good. But Thursdays are a mess.
Yeah. And like the third Tuesday of every month, I have a standing meeting. Third Tuesday in the morning.
Yeah, I told you scheduling is the most painful. It has always
It
been one of the
is.
most painful conversations that we've had. And that will not change. And I assume that, in the new year, other meetings might change for you as well. So we can't be completely predictive, but hoping to have, again, maybe, 6 options on the table so board members can tell us what resonates most with them. I think that some of the members who were confined to the afternoon time have left the board. So that was something that was really important for Derek. Also something that was a restriction for Lena. And there was one other board member specifically that I apologize is not coming to mind right at the moment. But I do know we had 3 board members that mornings were not possible. But now we're hearing from the membership that mornings could be on the table. So Kiana, I would love to circle back with the URA staff. Because we have a few bumpers that are on our conversations. So we do need to have the technology. We need to have space. We need to make sure that we're not conflicting with another city meeting or URA obligations. So what I have heard so far is that if we were going to do an afternoon, bumping that back up to a 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock would be better. Although more folks are saying mornings seem to resonate a bit more. Tuesdays have varying openness for our board members. I heard Wednesday is clear for James. So if I go back with Kiana and take a look at the URA calendar and also when we can get our technology and meeting space and come back around with half a dozen options. Hopefully that works for everyone. So that's for the ongoing expectations for, we want to make sure that we have that regular time and that's publicly available so folks can join us. But we also have this issue of January. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to put a little tiny pin in the ongoing meeting schedule for 2026. Kiana and I will work together. And I am happy to do a poll with folks once we have those times available. For January, we do need to adjust. So this is unfortunately one of those things that we would really love to pin down now because we do need to get, we need to start getting that confirmed right away because we're only a few weeks from January, which seems unbelievable, but it's true. So for the January meeting, we would typically be on for 3 to 5 on the 6th. Are there days, times right now that are resonating with our board members? Again, we will go out and do some outreach related to this, but if we have a few good options, we can get it pinned down a lot more quickly than if we just open it up to a any day, anytime poll. So thoughts for January.
January 13th. I'm open to the following Tuesday, January 13th. And I'm only saying putting a pen in that, putting a pencil, writing that in pencil because not knowing if the URA is going to have a board meeting. So if there's something that we need to handle, knowing that Thursday, the 15th, is when the URA board would potentially meet. So that's why I'm comfortable with saying the 13th. So we're not pushing it too far back.
And would it work for folks if we just kept our 3 to 5 or a 2 to 4 on that January 13th date? Okay, I see a thumbs up. I see a head nod.
I agree.
That works for me.
I do have to leave everyone, but yes,
okay.
The 13th works for me and 2 to 4 would be great.
How do folks feel about 2 to 4? I'm seeing thumbs up. I'm seeing thumbs up. Okay, fantastic.
Cool. Thank you.
So we have the majority of our board here right now. So we just pinned down that date in less than a minute and a half. So
Nice.
January 13th, 2 to 4. Kiana, if there's something that the URA board is going to need from us that Thursday, is that something we can work around?
Great question. I believe, well, we would have sent out the URA agenda to the public by then. But you know, if there's a project that needed to come before the HOF that didn't get approved, we can always attempt to adjust the agenda at the URA board meeting.
Kiana, that's a good point. What if we had our HOF meeting in the morning? So then that way we'll give you all time to send out the agenda.
The morning would be better if folks are available.
Okay,
I'm
well,
not available that morning.
And James isn't either. So, okay.
And I think that Alan is also not available. But I'm not positive about that. But that seems like that is a less attractive date and time. Kiana, there was nothing that I heard in the most recent URA or city council meeting that suggested there was something that they needed from us in January. I would assume if the URA staff has an application that's coming before you that's going to be ready to roll in January, I assume you would know that before you leave, correct? Before the URA closes down for that block?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if we needed to do any last minute backpedaling, we would have a little bit of notice?
Correct.
Okay, so are folks comfortable with us saying January the 13th from 2 to 4? And if there's anything that we need to address, change in that, you know, small window that we'll have, Kiana, you'll make sure that we know that right away. Okay. And that gives us plenty of time to let, you know, the public and advocates know that there will be a change in that meeting, which we always sort of come up against that as well. How fast can we let the public know that there will be a change? So if we do have that public comment or folks that would like to join us, it's always better for us to give them a little bit more notice. All right, so I'm hearing January 13th. Board 2 to 4. Kiana, you and Brandon and I can work on the details for that. We're going to get a poll out with some options for adjusting the regular meeting. We are going to be looking at our officers and that opportunity going forward. We're going to be looking at the demonstration dollars, the innovation portion of those grants. URA will be closed for that time block, so please everybody be mindful. Is there any additional business that we have not covered, comments, questions, concerns that advisory team members would like to raise? Seeing head shaking no. Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn our meeting for December 2025.
Thank you, Tanika. Do we have a second on closing out our 2025 year as the HOF?
Second, Ellie Fisher.
Thank you so much, Ellie. So we have a lot to send out to the group. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I am thankful for all of you and looking forward to 2026. Thank you so much.
Great.